What's going on, guys? C0 Media here. Today I am replacing the oil pan gasket on the Evo, and I just wanted to show you how that's done. My Evo has been leaking oil from the oil pan for a long time, and I'm halfway into replacing it. I didn't want to film the whole thing because filming the whole thing from beginning to the end is kind of tedious and it's extremely dirty under here, so I didn't want to touch my DSLR as I was doing it. So first thing you want to do is disconnect the battery. Actually disconnect the ground from your battery so that you don't have electricity running through your car, and that reason why you want to do that is because we'll be removing the starter to get to the oil pan, and oil pan is right here, this big black piece right now. The oil pan runs under the downpipe, so you want to remove the downpipe. It's just two bolts, one bolt here going into the donut gasket up there, one on the right, one on the left. Super easy. And you want to undo the two downpipe bolts that connects the downpipe to the catback exhaust. Now I'm feeling lazy, so I just removed the rubber exhaust hangers right there, and that should give me enough clearance to remove the oil pan. So next thing I'm gonna do is undo some bolts here, which is the starter bolt. I'm gonna undo the power for the starter, which is this piece right here. Undo this cover and then remove the bolt for the starter, which is this one, and another one which I'm going to show you in just a second. Alright guys, so now the starter has come off. The starter is held by two bolts, one going into this piece here from the left side of the car, and the top one is actually coming in from the transfer case side. So that's the longer bolt that you have to remove. That might be tricky when you're doing this for the first time, but make sure that you go on the passenger side and do that. I'm sorry, the driver side, and get that done here on the USDM car. Now you are exposed with the oil pan right there, nice and dirty. The downpipe should be down lower enough to give me clearance to remove the oil pan. But next thing you have to do, and the last thing you have to do, is remove this turbo oil return line. So just undo these, I think 12mm bolts, and you are good to remove the oil pan. And once that's off, go ahead and loosen up all these bolts all around the oil pan, and you just want to pry that off. But I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the oil return line for now. Alright guys, so next thing I did was remove the 10mm bolts all around the oil pan. I mean, just kind of screws out. I don't need to film that process, super easy. Next thing that's out, what you want to do is just grab a screwdriver or pry bar and just go ahead and yank on the oil pan. And this might be one of the toughest parts of this job, but take your time. Don't break anything, don't dent the oil pan. Just keep consistent force and get the oil pan off. Alright guys, so oil pan came out. It was extremely easy. It took no force really to take this thing off, and you can kind of see that it was leaking by where the oil is on the oil pan, or should I say bottom of the block. You can see that it's not completely sealed up, like here by the timing belt. So I'm looking forward to replacing this and fixing the leak once for all. And as long as for the crank inside, it is super clean. Of course, it's got the built manly rods and pistons. Everything else looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go ahead and inspect everything down here, make sure it's all good to go. Alright, so here's the oil pan off the car. I just stuffed the shock towel there so that oil doesn't drip anymore. But what you want to do is just go ahead and grab razor and scrape off all this old seal on the oil pan, so you have good fresh surface when you're mounting this. Okay, so I spent about 30 minutes just cleaning everything up. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want to make sure that the old gasket is off the oil pan. I use brake cleaner to make sure there's no oil residue on the surface, and I did the same thing for under the engine block as well. You get the idea. Nice and clean, good to go, no oil. So next thing I'm gonna do is apply silicone. What I use here is what's called the white stuff. Now this I heard It's best stuff you can use in terms of gasket making, better than the black stuff and the red stuff. So what I'm gonna do is just create a bead around the gasket, and around the oil pan to create a gasket, and apply the oil pan to the block. But one thing you want to remember when you do this is you don't want to torque down the screws as soon as you put the bead down, because what that's gonna do is just push out the silicone out of where it's supposed to be. So what you do is, after you put down the bead, you wanna let it kinda harden up a little bit, and then put the oil pan in place, and then lightly tighten down the oil pan, wait about 5-10 minutes, and then make the tight connection. That way you don't lose the silicone between the oil pan and the engine block. So it's kind of hard to film as I do this, and it looks horrible, but you get the idea. You just want to lay down the bead around the oil pan like so. Yeah, I'm doing a horrible job. I'm gonna stop filming and doing this at the same time. Okay guys, so this is it. Oil pan has been installed. The oil return line has also been installed. Like I said, I torqued it down halfway and then waited about 10 minutes, let the silicone kind of cool down and solidify, and then really went down and torqued it. Now you have to let it sit for about 24 hours until you can put the oil in. So what I'm gonna do is tighten up everything else on the car and give it a day, and I'm gonna fill up the car with oil, and it should be good to go. So thanks again for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, comments, feedbacks would be appreciated. As always, it is 1 in the morning and I am signing out. Peace.